All right, good night. I'm going to read a book to the students now. All right. Hi, kids. This is Mr. Tembor and myself, Mrs. Gosh, and we wanted to read you a bedtime story tonight. We're going to call it Tuesday Tuckin', so join us on Tuesday nights. We are not live tonight because YouTube said that we couldn't go live for 24 hours and after I subscribed. So next Tuesday we'll be able to go live, but if you want to drop comments down on the YouTube channel, that's fine. We can respond to that until later tonight. So if you have any questions, that's fine with us. So tonight we're going to read about planets. We both have the same book called Planets. And we wanted to bring up a few different types of writing that we know you've learned in 4th and 5th grade. The first is narrative writing, which is going to be a story that someone tells. It's for entertainment, it's for fun. A lot of times we hear these fables actually that start with once upon a time. This is not a once upon a time book at all. This is a book that's going to have facts. Does anybody know what kind of text that is when it just states a lot of facts and information? It's an informational piece. And that's why we're going to read this one tonight, because then this week we're going to have an assignment for you guys where we write informational text about planets. So listen carefully because we're going to need this. We're going to have to know these facts and we're going to have to remember them for when we ask you to write about it tomorrow. So let's get started, and by the end we're going to be using our spinner to ask our WH questions to make sure that we remember everything about our stories. So while I read, you can show them the pages up there.
Sweet.
Okay, so this first part is called What is a Planet? Circle, circle in the sky, you're bright enough to catch my eye. You're not a star, but a place where gas or rocks swirl in place. So this makes me think about, what are the planets made of? What are the planets made of? Do you know? Gas and rocks, right. All right. This says, hello planets. When you look up high in the night sky, you might see lots of bright lights. Most of those lights are stars, not planets. Most stars have planets moving around them. Planets are round objects that orbit a star. Does anybody know what orbit means? Orbit means to go around something. So in our solar system, what is our star's name? Does anybody know? Our star is actually called the sun, and then all of our planets orbit around that, which it says right here. The planets are round objects that orbit the star. So all of our planets, like Earth, are orbiting our sun, which is a star. They don't create their own light. They only reflect light from stars. And then we talk about the sun. The sun is our star. Our planet, Earth, orbits the sun. The sun makes a lot of heat and light. Its surface is about 100 times hotter than a hot summer day. Do the math. Our hottest summer day is 100 degrees. So if we take that times 100, we're adding a lot of zeros. It's also very big. 1 million Earths could fit inside the sun. So if you look at this picture, this is the sun right here. And this little guy, that's the Earth. So 1 million of these Earths would fit in our sun. That's kind of an interesting fact. All right, Mr. Tembor, do you want to read?
Yes, I do. Now we're getting into our solar system. What else is in our solar system? Our sun and Earth are part of what we call our solar system. There are 8 big planets and 5 small dwarf planets in our solar system.
Which I didn't know until reading this book.
Each planet orbits the sun. The strong pull of the sun's gravity holds the planets in orbit, which keeps them from floating away. Gravity is the same force that makes a baseball fall to the ground when you drop it.
Now, real quick, gravity is something that's really hard to understand, but basically you have to think of gravity like tug of war. And when we have a bigger person or more people on one end of the rope, and then just maybe a child or a group, a smaller group of people on one end, who's going to win? It's going to be the side with more people, or the people that are stronger. And that's just like gravity. So Earth, or the sun, for example, holds the Earth in its orbit.
Because
the sun is larger.
Yes.
And then we are in its orbit, and we have moons. And we hold the moon in our orbit of the Earth because Earth is larger than the moon. So just like that, we're staying on the Earth. Even though the Earth is round, we're on the outside around here, but we're being sucked like magnets into it because the Earth is really large and we're small, and that's called gravity. Okay.
Gravity, yeah, an invisible force that pulls objects towards a planet or a star.
And that's why everything you drop,
oh, the Earth just sucked into it.
Earth just sucked that book right down.
Ooh, now we're getting into some of our planets here. The inner planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, are in the hotter part of our solar system. These planets are the 4 closest to the sun. They are made of rock and metal.
Strange fact, stump your parents right here, folks. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, but guess what? It's not the hottest. And that's super strange. I didn't realize that until I was reading this book a little earlier. The next planet out is what?
Venus.
Venus is actually the hottest planet, and that's because it has a lot of greenhouse gases around it that are sucking in and holding in all of the heat. So go stump your parents with that one tomorrow. Venus is actually the hottest planet.
They'll say Mercury, and they'll be wrong.
Yeah, they'll say Mercury. They'll be wrong. You'll get them. It's true.
All right, getting into Earth. Earth is the 3rd planet from the sun. The planet we call home spins at just the right distance from the sun. It's far enough away to not be too hot, yet close enough so it's not too cold. Here are the conditions that are just right for life. So we're just at the perfect distance from the sun. Makes us all stay alive.
Yep.
Ooh, here we get into the bigger planets, a little past us.
And they're a little bit colder because they are
further away.
Farther from the sun, yeah. Not livable conditions.
These are the gas giants. Beyond the rocky inner planets, there are 4 gas giants. These are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. These huge planets are made up of big clouds of gas and liquid. Gravity pulls these gas and liquids into the planet's shape. All gas giants have rings. The rings are made up of mostly ice and dust.
All right, I'll go. I'll take this page because it's really difficult for Mr. Tembor to pronounce these words.
Agreed.
Right, Mr. T?
Agreed.
Dwarf planets. Do you want to turn yours around?
Mm-hmm.
Dwarf planets are planet-like objects that are part of our solar system. I said planet-like, which means they're not planets. They're just planet-like. They're kind of similar. They are much smaller than the regular planets. And actually, one we used to call our planet, and that one of our planets, which was Pluto. Another one is Eris, and then Ceres, and then Makemake, I think.
Yeah.
And Haumea, actually. This dwarf planet, Haumea, is shaped like an egg. A dwarf planet can be round or egg-shaped, though. Unlike regular planets, dwarf planets may share their orbits with other space objects. So we're going to give you guys some amazing facts about the planets, and then we're going to go into the next part, which is about their moons. These planets are really out of this world. So the weirdest spin, actually Uranus has the weirdest spin, and it spins on its side, rolling like a barrel instead of a top. So if you go ahead and give them a closer picture of that.
You guys can see it spins like this, how Earth usually goes like this around.
Uranus has the weirdest spin of all planets. The one with the windiest weather is Neptune. Winds on Neptune blow much faster than Earth's strongest hurricanes. So like tornadoes are really strong winds, and then hurricanes are even stronger winds. So that the normal wind for Neptune is actually stronger than our strongest winds, which are hurricanes. The one with the longest lasting storm, the Great Red Spot on Jupiter, is a hurricane, actually. It has been blowing for more than 400 years. Now get that, like when we talk about hurricanes on the news, it's like they'll last for a week, they'll hit Earth's surface and they'll stop. But this hurricane on Jupiter has been lasting for 400 years. And then this one we told you about earlier, which one's the hottest planet? Venus. It's the solar system's hottest planet, even though it's not the closest to the sun. It's the hottest because a thick layer of gas around Venus makes it super hot and holds in that heat. The planet with the tallest mountain, and if you want to show them the picture up there, Mr. T.
This is it.
Mars is the home of the solar system's largest volcano called Olympus Mons. It's as tall as 3 Mount Everests stacked up. So some of the things on our Earth that we think are so impressive, if you go on these other planets, which we totally can't, but if we could, they have a lot of interesting features, like a mountain that's 3 times as large as our tallest mountain. And now we're going to read about moons. Mr. T, do you want to read about moons?
I would like to, yes.
Perfect.
Moons galore. Some planets, like Earth, have moons that travel with them. Moons are objects made of ice or rock that orbit a planet. Some planets have no moons. Some have many. Jupiter has more than 60. Saturn has a giant moon called Titan. It is one of the largest moons in the solar system. It is even bigger than the planet Mercury. So imagine that. The moon is bigger than a planet.
Out of this world, Mr. T.
It's wild.
Wild information. Do you all remember what it is that keeps those moons orbiting their planet?
Ooh, I think they
From
do.
the beginning of the book?
I think they do.
Gravity.
Gravity.
Yeah, gravity holds those smaller objects in and it sucks it in like a magnet. Just think of a magnet or tug of war when you're thinking
Ooh,
of
I want
gravity.
to read this one.
You do?
Yep.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite subjects.
What, the moon?
Our moon.
Oh, our moon.
Earth
Because it's so cool.
has only one moon. It appears large and bright in the night sky. Astronauts first walked on the moon more than 40 years ago. They left footprints in the dirt. There is no weather on the moon to wash or blow them away. These footprints are still there.
Okay, so why are the footprints still there?
Ooh, that's a good WH question.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
Okay.
Because there's no weather to wash them away.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So like on the beach when you go and you step around and that water immediately washes away your footprints, these footprints have been there for how long?
40 plus years.
That's amazing.
Actually, more than 50
I never
now.
knew that there was no weather on the moon.
Yeah.
Actually, until you just said that.
So Buzz Aldrin's
So
footprints.
it says the changing
still there.
conditions that can include temperature, rainfall, wind, and clouds. The moon has none of that.
Nope.
That's pretty cool.
No need for a cloud.
Oh my gosh, there's a joke on this page. You want to hear a joke? I don't know it yet, but it could be funny. Why couldn't the astronaut book a room on the moon?
Because it was full.
Full, because like a full moon. We should actually talk about all of the different moons, like the waning crescent and the waxing gibbous. Like we should do a part about that. Not today though.
All the different, yeah.
Exploring space.
Okay.
You ready? Scientists have many ways of studying planets. One is to visit them. Humans can't visit other planets yet, but we can send robots to explore them for us. Robots called rovers have been sent to Mars. The rovers carry cameras and tools. They can take photographs and videos too. The rovers then send the information back to Earth about what they see. That's kind of cool. That's kind of like, that's the robot that we sent to Mars that's bringing us information about it. Oh, we have another joke on this one. How did the rocket lose its job?
It got fired.
Good one. We'll have to bring those back to Miss Jess when we go back to school.
Yes.
All right. There are other ways to learn about planets too. Powerful telescopes allow us to see planets and moons even though they are far away. Space probes also collect information about planets. These spacecrafts take pictures. They measure light and temperature too. With these tools, scientists make exciting discoveries about other worlds. What will we learn next? I almost feel like we might learn if there's life on Mars. Wouldn't that be crazy?
If the Mars rover came back with that would be amazing.
That we found like even bacteria and germs and atoms.
I think we should just keep, sending cars into space.
Yes.
They did that.
Oh my gosh, so this page is more stump your parents. So remember some of these because tomorrow you have to stump your parents.
Okay.
Okay.
You read the first one.
Which is not true about the sun. It makes heat and light. It is our planet's star. It is much smaller than Earth. Planets orbit around it. Which one is not true? Well, we learned actually that it's 1,000,000 times larger than our Earth, so it's much smaller than the Earth would be
true.
false. All right, what's the next one?
All right, what does Neptune have that's so special?
Ooh, we learned this earlier.
It has the largest volcano, the hottest surface, the weirdest spin, or the windiest weather. Oh my gosh,
Let's look back.
Let's look back.
Yeah.
I
actually remember
that was Neptune.
the windiest weather.
Yep.
It's the windiest.
Yep.
Yeah, it
much
reaches speeds much faster than hurricanes.
Look at
yep.
that. Look right
So
back
you remember that red spot on Jupiter? That's a really perfect one to stump your parents. Ask them, what's that big red spot on Jupiter? It's actually what? A moon, a volcano, a flood, or a hurricane. And remember, it was that, oh, I can dig in. It was that hurricane that's been there for 400 years.
Okay, I want to dig in next.
Okay, cool. Which planet has just one moon? Which one?
Earth.
Oh.
AKA the greatest
good.
planet of all time.
Okay. What can you use to get a better view of objects in space? Telescopes.
Oh, yeah, it's not submarines. No, that wouldn't help much.
To study the environment on Mars, scientists have sent...
They've sent the Mars rover, the robot.
True that.
Goes across the surface.
Okay, so our last page here actually has some vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones that I want to talk about is reflect, because I know some of my students, we've been talking about that beginning piece called a prefix, and reflect has a prefix, which is that beginning part re. And we know re means to go back. So we've talked about rewriting, so you have to do it again, or redo,
return.
or reread. Oh yeah, return, you like bring it back. We talked about recycling, kind of making it being used again. And so the word here would be reflect. And reflect is kind of like when you look in a mirror, that light or the picture of you bounces back at you. And that same thing happens when you have the sun with its light onto the earth, and then that reflects back. So it's bouncing back, just like we talked about before. And we never actually learned that word before, but we know that part re is going to help us figure out what the word means. I also liked gravity. We already talked about gravity, and I think my husband did a great job explaining it before. He's in the other room, he's a science teacher. But just like that tug of war and the bigger object holding that smaller object in. So, good job. And then orbit, what was an orbit?
The movement the object makes around the bigger thing.
Yeah.
So like the star. I like that vocabulary word too, star. You guys look out in you guys look up at night, you see all these stars, and you're like, oh, that's a pretty little light. It's actually a huge ball of hot gas.
A huge ball of hot gas.
Makes heat and light. So think about that when you look up at the stars next time.
Science is fun.
Science is amazing.
I love science. Okay, so like we've learned in past videos, we want to make sure that you're understanding, and I know we've already done the WH questions a little bit, but we're going to spin back here, and then we're going to ask each other some WH questions. If it lands on black, it means respin for tonight only, because we couldn't come up with anything for the black. Why? All right, I'm going to have to ask you a why question.
Okay, I'll have to come up with an
Mr.
answer.
Tembor, yes you do. Why is Venus the hottest planet?
Why is Venus the hottest planet? Because of the gases?
Yes.
Of some sort?
That hold it in.
Hold in all the
I bet
heat,
y'all answered
right?
that at home.
Mm-hmm.
All right, your turn.
Give me where. When? Oh, this is so fun. I got a good one for you.
You do?
When did the hurricane on, was it Jupiter?
Oh, when did it start?
Yeah, when did it start?
400 years ago. Where?
Ooh, I had a good one for that one.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Where did we send the rover?
Ooh, that was gonna be right. We sent the rover.
Do you know? Push the button if you know. You're faster than Mr. Tembor. Go ahead and say it. Mars. Yep.
Okay,
They beat you.
I was gonna get there, so.
Okay.
All right, one more.
Yep, one more.
Why?
Ooh, why questions?
Why don't our planets just float away from the sun?
Because of gravity.
Wow, you beat all the kids. Way to go.
It sucks it back in like a magnet.
Great
So,
questions.
You guys, thank you so much for watching our Tuesday night tuck-in story. We'll be back next Tuesday. We also wanted to let you know that we're going to be posting a video tomorrow to go along with the planets. And it's going to start us on an informational text. So what we have is we have a lot of books about planets, space, anything that you can find tomorrow in your house that if you have any information about space, the moon, the solar system, or if your parents let you go online and do a Google search about planets in our solar system, facts about planets in our solar system, information about planets in our solar system. And then we want to take all of that information and we're going to turn it into an informational essay. So tomorrow we'll bring back kind of a rubric of how we're going to start that. Okay, so join us tomorrow. We still won't be live, but we will be posting a video tomorrow for you to start writing that informational text about planets, okay? All right, good night.
Keep reading.